What are good block combinations in Minecraft? What blocks look good together? What are some good block palettes? And how do I choose a block palette for my build? Okay, hold on to your hats, we've got a ton to cover and a short amount of time to do it in, so be sure to subscribe and click that like button for me. People have been working on color theory for centuries, and through experimentation, testing, and science, we know there are 12 visible colors. We have our primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. There are our secondary colors, which are created by combining the three primary colors. Yellow and blue create green, yellow and red create orange, and blue and red create purple. And the last 6 tertiary colors are created by combining the primary and secondary colors. These ones are easy. They're named after their parent colors, so when I reference the red-orange block, you know just from the name that that color's parent colors are red and orange. Pretty easy, right? Wrong! Welcome to my crash course in color theory. We just want to know what blocks to use in our builds. And if you've been building for a long time, maybe you just want to get away from using the same blocks over and over again in your builds. So how do we know what to use? Complementary Colors is a great place to start. The 12 colors create a color wheel, and the easiest way to identify a complementary color for any given block is to identify what that block's color is, look directly opposite the color wheel for your new color, and identify a new block in that new color. So, opposite colors. What else? Split opposite colors. So let's say you're using blue as your first color. Instead of using orange, you will use colors adjacent to orange instead, which is yellow-orange and red-orange. Another set of complementary colors are called a triad, which are 3 colors all equally spaced apart on the color wheel, such as yellow, red, and blue, the primary colors. Are you noticing anything yet? No? Okay, look again. Blue is our color, and looking at each complementary color option we've laid out so far, we know that blue works well with orange, red-orange, red, yellow-orange, and yellow. How about now? Do you see it? Blue is complementary with the 5 colors opposite it on the color wheel, which means every color is complementary with the 5 colors opposite it on the color wheel. This is real color theory. For a quicker reference, I've laid out each color's complementary color for opposite, split, and triad. Yes, there is a world download in the description below. Next, there's a combination of colors that, when combined, either lighten or darken the resulting colors. These are called additive colors and subtractive colors. If you ever come across these while doing your own research, skip them. They don't apply to Minecraft, at least not at the time of this recording. We can't combine colors. There's something called a grayscale, and it's basically putting white and black on opposite ends and filling the space between with shades of gray. Grayscale does not have a complementary color. If we look at anything gray, like stone bricks or cobblestone on paint.net, color pick any pixel from either block, you will see the RGB colors are basically identical in value. And if we look down below, the S is saturation, and this will range from 0 to just a few points. And the V, which means value, but is really just a brightness gauge, will also fluctuate. These are where we are getting our grays from, a lack of saturation and adjusting the brightness. Have you ever wondered why gray blocks work so well with so many different blocks? That's because they are in the grayscale, which is a naturally contrasty palette. Contrast is important for a build because the level of contrast will help determine how well the colors from your other blocks stand out. A rainbow on a blue sky is nice, but a rainbow on a dark gray cloudy background really makes all the colors of that rainbow pop. Of course, only using blocks in the grayscale is not the only way to achieve contrast. By choosing to use blocks from, let's say, the red scale, you can lighten or darken the red itself by using the lighter and darker variants of red. Going lighter with blocks like granite and bricks will allow the darker colors of your build to make these blocks pop more. Likewise, if we go dark with our red, we can make other lighter colors pop more. Just remember, majority rules. So here, for instance, the dark colors are popping because they are surrounded by far more contrasting colors. Now, we can't talk about building in Minecraft without talking about the 6 wood variants. I know in 1.16 we have the warped and crimson woods, but if you look at those, they're actually called stems, which technically makes them mushrooms, not wood. Now before we move on, I'd like for you to look at these 2 squares. Is that middle square with the black dot orange or brown? The correct answer is orange. In fact, it is orange terracotta, but it blends really well with the brown wool. Why? Because brown doesn't exist. Brown is just orange, with its brightness reduced. Watch as we raise the value of the brightness to maximum. Wow, look! It was orange the whole time. With exception to birch and acacia logs, each of the wood variants correlate to a shade of orange, and you'll notice that birch planks and stripped birch are closer to yellow. This is probably the main reason birch has a much more difficult time finding a home within builds. It's easy to look at it and think, hey, this is wood. It should work similarly to the other wood types. Now, back in Paint, if we play with the brightness value and the saturation a little bit, we can easily find colors similar to the planks and stripped types. Why is this important? The logs primarily have darker brightness values, which means they lean toward the darker side of the grayscale, which, as we've discovered, is a great way to make other colors pop more. And the plank and stripped woods are on the lighter side, which means they are more likely to be popped by anything contrasty nearby. So what are we left with? Minecraft favors medieval build styles. How many of you have heard or thought that before? All the stone and cobble is firmly within the grayscale. Contrast is the name of their game, and the wood variants are also firmly embedded with natural contrast, so they tend to work really well with the stone blocks. And since there's dozens and dozens of grayscale blocks in the game, and wood has so many variants as well, and both are really easy to acquire early on in the game, it's no wonder that this is the natural style of building most people are drawn to. Very briefly, we need to address the elephant in the room: textures. In my block palette world, we have all the colors lined up moving from dark to light, and the grayscale on the side. You will notice that we may be seeking a very specific shade of any given color, but there are so many unique textures for these blocks that the shade we need may be stuck within a block like glazed terracotta. And more often than not, the texture of a block will greatly outweigh the color and how good your build will look. Knowing all of this, how can we pick our block palettes? First, pick any color block you want to work with, keeping in mind that the block's texture is critical for the final outcome. So don't pick something that isn't going to match your final build idea. Next, I recommend finding 1 or 2 complementary color blocks, again keeping in mind that the texture is really important. Feel free to incorporate blocks that improve contrast, such as blocks from the grayscale or the wood variants. As we've discussed, brown colors are just a really dark orange, and dark blocks have great contrasting abilities. Additionally, the wood variants have fantastic textures, and texture really does go a long way to improving a build's look. Whatever colors, grays, and browns you've chosen, congratulations! All blocks within their columns in my block palette world download also in the description, can in theory be used in your final block palettes. Now here's where it gets interesting. Within the entire spectrum of colors from my block palettes, look through your chosen colors column and find the textured blocks you want to work with, and 2 or 3 other shades of that color. That's it. You're done. You have just used color theory to inform your block selection for your own build palettes. Now for a couple building notes. First, it is important to know that you do not have to use every block you've chosen from your color palette. Sometimes you'll pick a block you think will be great, and it just doesn't look right. Second, Minecraft is an incomplete game. There isn't a block for every shade for all the colors. Some stuff is missing. Third, you're allowed to change your mind. You can go back and add new blocks to your palette, you can remove blocks, or even entire colors if you want. Minecraft is a canvas. The blocks are colors, and your builds are a painting. There are so many different ways to paint, different styles, genres, and motivations. And Minecraft has built-in limitations. The perfect color may not exist in the game. Certain textures can only be seen from specific angles. And of course, we play in a blocky world, so getting perfect shapes can also be challenging. Don't be too hard on yourself. Everything in this game is subjective, and just have fun with it. I hope very much this video was able to help you understand color theory, complementary colors, and the theory of choosing your own block palette. My name is Wintertooth100, and I'll see you guys in the next one.